everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out. Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. It's been a little bit as the season is it's in that dead period right now. But I would say this is an intriguing question and a fun little off-season question created by the man next to me, Austin.
Yeah, so we know that they're not called the Coyotes anymore. We understand that. But it's still an important question in my opinion. The Coyotes only made one Western Conference final. They'd only won a couple rounds during their entire existence in the state of Arizona. And does Utah fix this organization? Again, it's titled, Will Utah Fix the Coyotes? To kind of make reference to the fact that they used to be the Coyotes. Now they're just called the Utah Hockey Club for one season. Hopefully that's not the name they stick with. But whenever that does change and they come out with that, we'll definitely do a video about that. But Kevin, will Utah fix the Coyotes?
So before I answer your question, I'm also going to give a setup. There are expectations with the new team just created by the Golden Knights, with what they made the playoff. They made the Stanley Cup Finals, of course, in their first year, and then the Kraken followed that up, making it to the semifinals and losing to the Stars.
Or I guess the Western semi, the second round. They made it to the second round in their second season. Yeah,
I thought
they
made the play. Oh, that was the second.
No, that was the second year.
So were they really? They weren't really bad their first year, were they?
They weren't great. They weren't like the worst team in the league, though.
Okay. So they've been competitive in their early years. I don't think that's the case, to answer your question. I don't believe Utah fixes the Coyotes. I think they're going to be a bad team. I don't think they really sniff the playoffs, even though they have the potential for it because of the owner of Utah. He's already spent money, and Arizona has talked about just the bad ownership of the Coyotes with the stadium and even the players. They were a team that tanked. I don't see it going like the previous two expansions teams, because this isn't an expansion team. This is a team that has had cap issues or has players on bad contracts. And to me, it's going to take longer to fix than basically starting with a clean slate like the Golden Knights and Kraken did.
Yeah, the Kraken did finish the bottom of their division, but they were not even the worst team in the West. They were the second worst team in the West. But if you include both conferences, I think they were the third or fourth. They had 60 points, which isn't great. But they're still weren't that far off from being. They were okay. They were fine, especially for a first year team. And then their second season, they didn't make the playoffs, obviously winning a round and taking the Stars to 7. I think this question also, I don't think it's necessarily like a this year question. It's more of I would say the next 5 years. Do we see the Utah Hockey Club being different than the Arizona Coyotes? Not necessarily where they're making playoffs like once or twice and losing in the first round. Could they actually become a reputable franchise?
Ooh. I don't know if they're going to be. I think they'll be a competitive team in 5 years. They'll make the playoffs, but I don't know if there's going to be that consistency of them going deep in the playoffs yet. So I thought about changing my answer, given the 5-year mark. I do think they'll be a good team, but I don't know if they'll see a lot of playoff success in the 5 years. I could see it after 5 years.
It's been I do hope that we get another team in Arizona at some point. It's a very big place to not have a team. This year they had 77 points. They were decent. They were about 500 almost. I've kind of been shocked by the fact that they haven't been all too great. They made the playoffs. Phoenix did after moving from Winnipeg. They made the playoffs their first 4 years, and then missed it, and then made it, and then didn't make it from 02-03 to this past season. They'd only made the playoffs 4 times. 2 quarterfinals, which is losing in the first round. 1 conference finals in 11-12, which was by far their best season. Not necessarily points-wise, but definitely playoffs-wise. And then they lost in the first round in 2020, in the COVID year. They won their like prelim round, like the round of like 24, basically. I believe they beat the Predators. I'll check on that really quickly. Yeah, they beat the Predators. They won the qualifying round against the Predators and lost to 5 to Colorado. So, I mean, if we go since 2013, they've never won a round in the last 11 years. They made the playoffs once. If you go since 2003, which is 21 years, they made 4 playoff appearances and won just 2 rounds. So I do think it'll be different than that in the next 5 years. I think this team is going to get better. I mean, if we go since 2021, the year after they made the playoffs, they missed it. But every year since then, they've gone 54 points, 57 points, 70 points, 77 points. There is a track up. I think that the team will be good next season. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I could see it, though. I don't think this team is so bad that I couldn't see it. I could definitely see it. I like a guy like Clayton Keller. He had 76 points in 78 games last year, 33 goals. They have a good team. I think maybe the change of scenery is all they needed. The past couple of years, Kevin, when they've been very close to being a 500 team, 70 points to 77 points, they've been playing out of a college arena. That can't feel good. That can't. I just, while it's not necessarily a road game, it can't feel like a true home game. I do think fans matter in a sense of confidence and getting a sort of a feeling in the locker room. Hey, let's go do it for them. Let's do it. These guys, our fans, believe in us. But when you have a stadium full of 5,000 and let's say only 3,500 are your fans and 1,500 are the other, it's hard to really get that feeling that you're at a home stadium. Now, that's not an excuse for losing necessarily, but it does, I think, affect the team over time. Because you go into the AAC that has almost 20,000 and you're like, well, this feels so much different. That's 4 times the fans. So I do think it'll be different. They're playing in the Jazz Stadium, so there will be a lot more fans than they had last year just because of semantics. But I do think this team will be different. Again, they've been close to 500 the past 2 years. Last year, again, we're only 5 points below 500. So I think that they could figure it out. And if they do, I wouldn't be shocked if it stayed that way.
I wouldn't be utterly shocked if I wouldn't be surprised because it's sports, anything can happen. I would be surprised if they become consistent in making the playoffs and advancing in a couple rounds. So I would say it's going to take a little bit more time, but I do agree about the energy with the fans. That's going to give them some life. I do think they'll be competitive, but I don't know if they'll become one of those top echelon teams that's always in competition for a playoff spot and then could be seen making a deep run in the first 5 years.
We'll see.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate all your comments, and let us know how you feel about the NHL's offseason and any more videos that you'd like to hear us talk about.